As holes in the ground go, it's fairly unremarkable. But for 3 centuries in this rural corner of northeast Northamptonshire, the menfolk have been disappearing down it in search of a unique local treasure. So what draws these men 40 feet underground in a mine shaft a scant 100 yards long for hours at end? Coal? Lead? Tin? Is it gold? Well, it is to them. This is Collyweston Slate, almost as difficult to find these days as gold, because this is the last remaining mine in Collyweston, and these men the last to carry on the ancient tradition of mining it.
It's never changed in the years. They did this way when I first started, and it's carried on. It was the only work you got in the winter, so you had to come down and do it.
100 or so years back, the whole of the village was involved. Farming and slating were the mainstays of Collyweston. Farming in the summer, and in the winter, the land workers would end up 40 feet below, hewing out the raw slate. The fruits of their labours are to be seen throughout Northamptonshire and Lincolnshire, and far beyond. Oxford colleges, London's Guildhall. Slaters from Collyweston have even travelled to America to dress the roofs with local slate. Heaven knows what the Americans made of the Northamptonshire slaters and their weird ways. For a start, they had, and still have, their very own language.
To get the sand out, we call it foxing. We drag all the sand out and then drop the slate down from the ceiling. So we have to look where we can drop it by the cracks in the slate. The shake is a crack. A fox is a tool, what we use for getting the sand out.
All blacksmiths made, of course. You can't go down Travis Perkins or somewhere and buy all these tools. It's a job to get a blacksmith to make them today.
See, I'll get the good job this morning.
Yeah, it's going.
Once there were half a dozen of them, now there's just one. And Collyweston's last remaining mine is owned by Claude Smith, who can boast several generations of miners and slaters.
Yeah, we've got a bit of movement here. And along there, oh yes, got quite a bit of movement here.
Claude is a man who is clearly delighted to take on the burden of tradition in a big way, whether out for a spin in his antediluvian delivery truck or admiring the rooftops by foot.
This is the High Street, and this is a special street with all Collyweston stone slates all on here. Now this one here, it still looks the same to you, the same years. They've probably been on 200 and some odd years. This one here was done in 1984 because we did it ourselves. That's why we need Collyweston slates, to keep it all in comparison with all the other buildings in the village. You are not allowed to put anything else but Collyweston in this street where it's seen. You can do on the back and hide it, but where this street is here, if you notice, it's all Collyweston.
Do you like roofs then?
Oh, of course you like roofs. It's history, isn't it?
Right, Big Bertha, I think, mate.
The problem is getting somebody to work down here and the cost of getting it out and getting it on the roofs. All these manufacturers have come in with imitation things that's tried to take over, but on the listed buildings it hasn't worked. You'll get a piece of slate out of here today and it's all dressed and gone up, and then you'll see it on a church, and it's history really, and this history's it's England. We've got to keep it going.
Come on, you booty.
Another barrel load. Now for the difficult bit, to get it up the top. Your shoulder or mine?
Yeah.
One secret of the Collyweston slate is the effect of weathering on it. It was in the 16th century that miners discovered how winter frosts seeping into the raw slate caused natural splitting, making it ready for, and here comes another call my bluff moment.
It's called cliving. What we do, we hit it down the seams and it splits off into thin pieces, ready for dressing.
After Joe's clived it, it all needs dressing, because you can see by these, they're not nice and square at the bottom or at the sides. They're all shapes. So they have to be dressed square along the bottom. So this is what we call dressing.
The Collyweston Slaters were a secretive bunch, so much so that they even devised special, rather peculiar names for all sizes of their slates. The names were passed from father to son for generations, but for how much longer?
They go Wibbits, Bachelors, Large Longback, Even Longback, Large Middleback, Even Middleback. One of the reasons they named them was to keep things secret, so nobody else, apart from those in the industry, knew what they were doing. Large Shortback, Even Shortback, Large Longhans, Even Longhans. I mean, when you were slating, if somebody came up on the scaffold, everything would stop. If a stranger came on the scaffold, nobody would work until that stranger went off. Large Mumfords, Even Mumfords, Large Mopes, Even Mopes, Outrules.
The days are now long gone when tons of Collyweston slate left the village by barge convoys on the nearby River Welland. So costly and labour-intensive is the present operation that many old slates are being reclaimed and reused. They say that nothing lasts forever, but in our 21st century throwaway society, Collyweston slate comes as close as anything can.
Well, once it's on, it lasts 150 years. You tell me something that lasts 150 years nowadays. Nothing. That's why it's there for life. Not your generation, but who else followed.